Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by our very special guest, Wally Bressler. And I am so excited, Wally, to have you on the show today. We're going to be talking about how to overcome sales call reluctance. And, for everyone out there, I want to give you some background on Wally, and pardon me if I read a few notes, but he is an energetic life and business coach who specializes in phone sales, skills mastery, and helping salespeople overcome sales call reluctance. With 26 years of sales experience and 20 years of life and business coaching, Wally is able to bring a variety of perspectives and strategies to business owners and salespeople to help them improve their enterprises as well as themselves. He specializes in business optimization, lead generation and conversion, phone sales skills mastery, overcoming sales call reluctance, strategic planning, NLP, and direct response copywriting. So, Wally, it's so great to have you on the show because you are so passionate
Thank you.
about helping salespeople create the business and life of their dreams by improving their mindsets and skill sets. Welcome, welcome,
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Wow, I sound old. I sound old. Oh my goodness, all that I sound old. So,
Young
but
at heart.
anyway, I
Okay.
appreciate you being here. Yeah, I appreciate you letting me be here with you today. Thanks so much. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, and for all of us, for anyone who's joining us, I should say for the very first time, please don't miss out on a single episode of Claim Your Career Crown by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, please, please, please click those 5 stars for a review. We would sincerely appreciate it. All right, Wally, let's get right to it.
Ready when you are,
So,
man.
yeah, let's talk about how you decided to become a life and business coach and why you focus on phone sales skills.
All right, so it's a bit of a long road. I graduated from college in 1990. At the time it was the second worst year I think since World War II to get a job. We were kind of, just I don't want to say we were just being, the first Gulf War was happening, and we were in a double dip recession. So I really had trouble getting a job at the time. I went back to my high school where I graduated from and where my mother was a teacher, did some substitute teaching, and then in 1991 I got a job in the mutual fund industry and which was great, and I learned a lot there. But by 1998, I was kind of sick of corporate America, and I had a really bad day one day. And my mentor, his name is Brian, had married my best friend at the time, and she said, "Hey, you really should get into the real estate industry." And I was like, I'm not sure. And so that day, I had a horrible day. I called Brian and said, "Hey, can I come over and talk to you?" He said, "Sure." And so I went over there, and I said, "Hey, what'd you do today?" He said, "Well, what did you do today?" I said, "Well, I did a presentation contest. I thought I was going to come in first. I came in third. I'm sick of people determining the outcomes of my life." I go, "What did you do?" He goes, "Well, I had two closings. I collected two checks. I rode my motorcycle out to the coast. I came back home and I painted my deck." And I said, "Sign me up." So so we, I got my real estate license, and in August of 1998, I became a real estate agent. And in the next 14 months, I sold 72 houses and was really excited about that. And then Brian decided that he wanted to grow his organization, so he invested in a national franchise. And I was the sales manager and trainer, and together, I and a bunch of other people helped him grow that to a little over 430 transactions a year. We were highly ranked within in the world for the franchise, and I guess I just caught the bug then of helping people. So in 2001 I started coaching with him, and then in 2006 I started doing it full time. And so what I found was is that in addition to coaching entrepreneurs and salespeople, that a lot of times our lives intersect, right? I mean, it's hard to be self-employed and not have your life involved with what you're doing. And so, I started working on helping people overcome things in their life as well in order to be able to do better in their job. And so I kind of ended up doing both at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so intriguing about that is absolutely in sales, it's so much a part of your career and your life and how that's they meld together. So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about how you define sales call reluctance and what are the telltale signs.
Okay, so sales call reluctance is an unwillingness or a fear of, lack of desire of, not wanting to get on the phone. We can call reluctance, sales reluctance on the phone. We talked about a little earlier, getting in front of a video, calling past clients and sphere referrals. Or if, let's say you're in a program, an MLM or something else where you've got to recruit people, anything that that stops you from picking up the phone or getting in front of a video camera to talk to people, specifically people in many cases you don't know, but also people you do know, about why they should, consider you as the provider of choice for them. Okay, and so that's loosely what it is. And then you asked me specifically. I'm sorry, I was so excited to answer the first question, I missed the second half. I apologize.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I absolutely agree with you that that fear is this root cause that needs to be ferreted out. But what are some of the telltale signs of sales call
um,
reluctance?
so there's a few different things. There's the obvious ones like sweaty palms, sweaty brow, dry mouth, fast beating heart, upset stomach, woozy head. So there's the big ones. Some people are getting ready to get ready. They're perfectionists, right? I've got to get my scripts down pat. I have my presentations down pat. I got to have everything looking perfect. Clean my car, put on, find everything I can do to, all those avoidance strategies, right? So perfectionism is the thing. The getting ready to get ready people. You know who you are. I used to be one of those people. Sometimes it's just straight up mental block. You just don't think about it. You don't even get into it. And other times it's really just a projection in your mind of you get this fear and this anxiety, this paranoia, if you will, or whatnot that comes up. So it kind of can evidence itself in many different ways, but those are kind of the chief symptoms.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, what might cause someone to become sales call reluctant?
So this is the long answer. So just to settle in with me here for a little bit, because I want to kind of connect some dots for people here. So here's the thing. Oddly enough, you would think that sales call reluctance was fear of the phone, right? But it has nothing to do with the phone. I mean, it's a 10-ounce piece of plastic and metal, right? That's all it is. It can't even hurt you. So the fear comes from what we perceive to be what's going to happen on the other end of the phone. Okay? Rejection, embarrassment, somebody not liking us, somebody telling us, horrible things, swearing at us. And really where that comes from is these identities that we've created for ourselves over the period of our lifetime. And so, as with many things in life, it comes from what happens when we're children.
Yeah.
And and so from my research and from my own life, there's some pretty specific areas. So it could be some sort of trauma, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, something like that, or you were bullied mercilessly, or let's say you had a parent, and let's just say, and you're married, right? So Whitbeck is not your maiden name, or is it?
No, I'm not a piece of property, so my name is still Whitbeck, the name I was
Okay,
born
good.
with.
Well, even if you're married, I mean, it's not a piece of property. You're definitely not chattel. I appreciate that. So anyway, so let's just say your dad was like, Lynn, nothing good ever happens to the Whitbeck family, right? Whitbecks are just not meant to have good things happen. So you
Yeah.
don't try. You don't stick your neck out there because we're just not worthy, right? Or somebody in a position of authority tells you that you're not good, or tells you you're a piece of crap, or programs that, or maybe it's a belief system you create for yourself. Like, I convinced myself when we were younger that I was poor. We weren't. We had a house, a modest house, central air conditioning, had food on the table every night, every day, lunches at school. I had a car. But, the kids at school had Nikes and Timberlands and Levi's jeans and nice ski coats. And I had Sears and Roebucks and
Yeah.
a coat that looked like my grandfather's coat. And, you got one pair of mittens. If you lost it, maybe we didn't get another pair because we didn't have the money. So I convinced myself I was poor. I mean, I had lunch envy. I would look at other kids' lunches and I look at mine. I'm like, God, this is terrible. These kids have cakes and all kinds of fun stuff, and I've got an apple and a sandwich. You know what I'm saying? So, but the whole point is no matter what it is, we create these hidden identities, these beliefs about ourselves, and based upon what happens. And so, we have a sympathetic nervous system. It's there's the flight and there's the fight. Some people are fighters, right? Something like that happens and they fight. There's a guy named Ken Shamrock who's a UFC fighter, and he spent his life fighting, saying, hey, listen, you know what? I'm never going to let anything bad happen to me again. I'm going to fight the whole way through it. And then he spent his life kicking the crap out of people and getting paid to do it, right? But no, that's true. Look up Ken Shamrock's story. It's an amazing story. He's a personal development speaker now. He tells about how horrible his childhood was and what he did. If you follow Lewis Howes said the same thing. But for every Lewis Howes and Ken Shamrock, there's probably 100 people who are the flighters, like yours truly, where when the bad things that happened as a childhood came up, we decided we wanted to avoid that pain at all costs. And so we spent our lives not putting ourselves in situations where we could get our feelings hurt, avoiding things, but also, every time we didn't follow through on something, creating these beliefs of lack of self worth, lack of self belief, lack of self esteem. Certainly that we don't deserve good things. And as a result of that, um, we don't engage in things that where that's going to happen, and so we fear anything that's going to cause that pain. If that makes any sense.
Yes,
So
it does.
I'm not going to get into the gory details, but I've I had a binge eating disorder for about 43 years. I was addicted to sex for about 40 years. I was addicted to pornography for about 42 years. And I had a real issue with money for about 41 years. I've actually plowed through about $4 million in my lifetime
Oh my
since
goodness.
I graduated from college, because of just not managing them well. So lots of things happened when I was a child that, did not bode well for me. And what happened is I'm not a victim here, but, from the time I was probably, 3 until 13, lots of things happened. But the time I was 13 on, I made a lot of bad decisions just to reinforce all that. And so, when I got out of college in 1998, I was offered all kinds of sales jobs, but I couldn't bring myself to do it because I was so, not 98, probably 1990. I was so scared, so afraid of putting myself out there. And it took me 10 years to overcome it. But it all comes from these hidden identities. So if you afraid to pick up the phone, afraid to get in a camera, in front of a camera, afraid to approach people, there's some limiting beliefs that are in there. There's some programming that you've created. There's some hidden identities about what you believe you're worth and what you deserve. And as a result of that, that's what's keeping people from moving forward. But the good news is people are not stuck with it. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You're never stuck with those types of things. It's
No,
a
man.
matter of identifying that fear, digging deep, and start
Mhm,
to, as you said, uncover that
mhm,
and to address it. Um,
mhm,
knowledge is power. So, and
mhm.
I understand that you have a 5-step process for
I do.
helping someone
Mhm.
overcome sales call
Right.
reluctance.
Right. I do. Thank you. And thank you for letting me share that with people. I'm really passionate about it because, part of the reason I started it was because I've been coaching real estate agents forever. And I know you're in sales and we talked about this a little bit before and sales management. I couldn't understand why people would pay me $1,000, $1,500 a month to let me help them with their real estate business and then not do the things that I asked them to do as it related to prospecting. Every week, how'd your prospecting go? I didn't do it. Why? Well, this came up and that came up, and no, never was I'm afraid to get on the phone. It was everything else in the periphery, but that's what it came down to, and I just couldn't figure out why, you know. And I used to say to myself, I said, hey, listen, the only thing I can do everything for you, but I just can't get you to be hungry to get on the phone. I can't create hunger, but what I've realized is that I actually can help people find that hunger by doing what we do here. So the first step, like every other problem that needs to be solved in this world, is awareness, right? And we
Yeah,
talked about that before,
yeah,
right? You've got to be aware. So the first step is finding out the source of your sales call reluctance. And it's not as hard as you might think. Some people, if you had kind of a troubled childhood, it's probably not hard to look back and see where things might have happened. But you still want to pinpoint exactly what it is because you've got to know exactly as Rick Carson from Taming Your Gremlin would say, we got to find out exactly what our gremlin looks like, right? So
yeah,
let's go approach it. For the people that have trouble finding it, I'm going to give people a quick little tip. Um, if you really want to find out why you're not able to pick up the phone, get in front of a camera, call for referral business, I want you to get two 5x7 index cards. I really just want you to write one thing on there. What is the source of my call reluctance? Or if you're a procrastinator, what is the source of my procrastination? Or if you're a perfectionist, what is the source of my perfectionism? I want you to write that down on two 5x7 cards. I want you to put one down on your desk near your computer and your phone where you spend most of your time. And I want you to put another one near your nightstand. Okay?
yeah.
I People laugh. There's right now going, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard. I've gotten text messages from people, you are a jerk. I can't believe you did this. Like, because it works. Because as on a lark, because I was just trying to figure things out. And I'm like, geez, I wonder, can we talk to our subconscious? Can we ask our subconscious questions? Our subconscious remembers everything we ever tasted, smelled, heard, touched, or seen. All of it remembers it all, but it remembers it like a sandwich, right? On top, on top, on top, newest things on top. And so, but it's all in there. And so what happens is you can ask your subconscious questions and it'll go, oh, there it is, and pull it out and give it to you. So you want to know where your sales call reluctance comes from, you do that, you'll know within 24 hours or less. Now, I can't just become aware of it. I got to start dealing with it. So
Right.
the next part is to define and identify, and then kind of get mindful or present. So here's the thing. Um, Most of the time, when we fear something or something comes up that affects us, Lynn, we don't necessarily experience the emotion and then go to it. We just go right to it, right?
Yeah,
Right. We don't experience that. Oh, there's that emotion. There it is. Oh, anxiety. Oh, there's that emotion. Paranoia. Oh, there's depression. We just go right to it, right? But what
Yeah.
happens is when you're aware of the root cause, what happens is you make that extra stop along the way, and you can feel that feeling coming up. Okay, you can feel that emotion coming up before you jump into it. So what happens is once you become aware, you'll start to feel it coming on, and you're like, oh wow. So we get into define and identify. So let's identify what that is. Oh, that's anxiety, that's fear, that's whatever. Okay, and then where's it coming from? Okay, well, this is where it comes from. You know, I got bullied like crazy when I was 13. Bullying is probably one of the worst things for people's self-esteem on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
Because as a child, we put so much value in the acceptance of our peers and what other people think about us. And
Yeah.
so, okay, so anyway, so that's anxiety, and that comes from me not thinking that I'm worthy or that I'm not good enough. Okay, and that feeling is there. So then the second part of the second step is to become present or become mindful, right? And
Yeah.
so, we think about the future and the unknown, and what happens? We get anxious. We think about the past and all the horrible things that have happened. We get depressed. But if I focus on the present and just focus on my breathing and nothing else and close my eyes, within 5 minutes that feeling will go away. The problem
Right.
is most of us just let it take root. And if you're like I was, not only we let it take root, but you let it go, little mushroom cloud. Right? It's terrible. And we've all gotten in situations where our emotions sink their claws in, and the next thing you know, we're out of control. So you just got to become mindful. Close your eyes, deep breathing through your nose, out through your mouth, and just focus on the present. Just focus on your breathing, and it will go away. Now, that allows us to at least tangle with those emotions that come up and keep them from taking root. But now we've got to go ahead and start reprogramming with the way we think. And so
Yeah.
step three is literally reprogramming our brain. Okay. I love Hal Elrod's book, The Miracle Morning. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but it's a great book. And he takes people through, a 6-step morning ritual that takes an hour: affirmations, journaling, visualization, exercise, reading, all things that allow us to go ahead and instead of just let thoughts come into our mind, that control what goes into our mind, telling our things that we need to hear. I'm not worthy. I'm worthy. I need people's approval. I don't need anybody's approval. I'm good enough the way that I am. Okay, I'm not a good salesperson. I'm a great salesperson. People aren't going to like me. I don't give a rat's ass if people like me. Whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever the opposite. And I'm sorry for saying ass. I apologize. So anyway, we just, we've got to say the opposite of what normally was, and we've got to drive it into us. We got to, you have an issue with perfectionism. You got to go read Brene Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You have
Yeah.
a problem with procrastination, go read Atomic Habits. You know what I'm saying? You got to go read a book that is counter to who you are. And then you got to do it every day. And what will happen is, I kid you not, within a week, you'll start thinking differently. It's crazy. All right.
It
And
is.
so
No, it's
within a week,
absolutely true. It's
within a
absolutely
week,
true.
it's insane. Right. So now we've started to tangle with the gremlin. We're starting to open up our mind. And, having run from so many things for so long, what I realized is, I want to make sure I stay on time for you here. We're getting close to the end of time here.
No, we're fine. We're fine.
Okay, good. I just want to be sensitive to that. So
Yeah.
anyway,
No, no.
um, so let me give another quick story. So I actually, let me take a drink here. Sorry. I did some real estate investing in the early 2000s, 2005, 2006, and my partner was a loan originator, and he ended up lying at about $15 million worth of mortgages. And so I was part of that. I wasn't trying to steal money, but I looked the other way on some things. I ignored things. My name was all over paperwork, so I had to accept responsibility for being part of it. And I spent a year in federal prison.
Wow.
I didn't see my children for a year.
Oh, it's terrible.
And well, you know what? You make bad decisions, the consequences that are out of your control. But I was there. I was part of it. I had to accept responsibility for being part of it because it happened. So otherwise, what lesson do we teach our children by not accepting, responsibility for what we do? So anyway, I didn't see my kids for a year, and I came home. As you can imagine, it was challenging, very challenging. All four of them, have or still in some cases do suffer from separation anxiety and abandonment issues. And so, anyway, so my son, who's 17, his name is Alex. I remember I had him come work with me in my new business. I said, "Hey, let's do some things. Let's come up with some goals. Let's think of 10 things you want to accomplish." He sat there. We sat there for an hour. He couldn't come up with one thing that he wanted to do. Not one thing.
Oh
This is
my
a
goodness.
17-year-old kid. You're thinking the world is like every right. And what I figured out is that when you're in so much pain about your past, and when all you're thinking about is the pain and how to get out of the pain and how to stop dealing with it, there's really no room for you to think about the future. And because you don't believe it's going to happen for you, you're not even going to dream, right? You stop dreaming, you stop believing that good things are going to happen for you. So you can't get your head around what to do, right? And so that's kind of why this third step is so important, because it starts opening up our mind and letting us see things again, which leads us to the fourth step, which is what drives us. Okay, what's important to
Yeah.
us, right? What do we, and then kind of Daniel Pink talks about it for Drive in his book Drive. You know, what do we need to what do we need to master? How do we
Yeah.
become autonomous of what we're doing? And then the last part, which is step five, is what's our why? What's our
Yeah.
real why? And Simon Sinek in his book Find Your Why gives a real simple formula for a why. He says two things. Number one, our why is usually born out of pain. It's something that you don't ever want to experience again, or that you don't want somebody else to experience again, to the point where your why almost makes you cry. And then he says
Yeah.
the other thing is you have to be able to affect, right? AFFECT, you have to be able to affect the outcome of it. So his formula is you have to go ahead and contribute X so you can impact Y. So for my children, I one of the things is that I want them to realize that they don't need anybody's acceptance, they don't need anybody's approval to be feel good about themselves. So on a regular basis, I tell them you are good enough where you are as you stand, with needing to change nothing. Whether you grow another inch or not, whether you learn another thing, whether you gain weight, lose weight, shrink, whatever it is, you are good enough just the way you are. And that one of my whys is to continue to support them and encourage them and help them believe all the things about themselves that I didn't as a child, because I don't want them to feel that way.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying, so that's it. So it's just as a quick review, it's awareness. Let's become aware of where the problem came from. Let's define and identify every time those emotions now come up, because once you're aware, you'll start to recognize them. Let's define and identify those emotions, and then when it happens, let's get present. Let's not let those
Yeah.
nasty emotions take root. Let's get into the habit every day of working on the rituals that will allow us to then start reprogramming our brain a little bit. And what's interesting, Lynn, is that the same process to get us where we are today is the same process that gets us where out of where we are to where we want to be. Meaning, you're not using a part of your brain you haven't used before. You're not using a process you haven't used before. It's all the same stuff. What are you saying to yourself? What are you focusing on? Right? So reprogramming that brain with the miracle morning strategy, then finding out what drives you, what really drives you, what do you need to master to to become autonomous so you can do whatever you want to do, and then lastly, what's your why? Like, really,
Yeah.
what is your true why? And then those five steps literally will allow people to feel freedom they've never felt before. Pick up the phone, talk to people. People tell me that they're happier, they sleep better. I've had clients tell me these things I'm thinking about doing that I haven't thought about for 20 years. I had a 7-year-old guy tell me, he said, "You help me get my mojo back as a real estate
Yeah.
agent at 70." So, and it's, it's like, I can only tell people what to do. They do the work, but it's amazing. And, if you haven't seen Will Smith's fault versus responsibility video, you have to watch it. Not just you, but everybody who's listening here and watching. Go watch it. It's 3 minutes. He gives a great, great presentation. But what he says quite simply is, say, listen, we are where we are here today. Okay. And how we got here may not be our fault. In most cases, it's not our fault. But from here forward, it is our responsibility to take charge and to own it and fix it, whatever we have to fix, or change or need change to where we're going forward so we can live the life that we want. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And it
Yeah.
speaks to the fact that anyone can overcome sales call reluctance or
Anyone.
other things that are holding them back, their
Mhm.
self-limiting beliefs.
Mhm.
And I have to tell you, Wally, I'm a real believer in affirmations,
Mhm.
and I talk about
Mhm.
those a lot. So thank you for
Yep.
touching on
Mhm.
that. I'm going to talk.
That was an unpaid recommendation on my part. I was not paid for that promotion. So
Yeah.
Lynn did not pay me for that promotion. So anyway, um,
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk. I'm gonna have one last question for you, so we can. And
mhm.
this is gonna sort of pack a lot, but we've been talking about sales, and I sort of have my own, sort of philosophy on, what makes a great salesperson. But what's your tangible, intangible skills that a salesperson must possess to master the sales process?
I people always ask me that, because I work, I've worked with I've been very fortunate to work with some of the top real estate agents in the country, in the United States and Canada. And people always ask me, like, what makes those people different than other people? What makes the great real estate agents, not better, but more effective than the people who are just average? And for me, the number one thing is implementation. People who are willing to take action, right?
Yeah,
Okay. If you take action, everything will work itself out. Okay. Now, look, do you need to be able to, you need to be able to, do you need to be able to be good at prospecting? At some point, you do. Do you need to be able to, speak to people? Yeah. You have to have conversations with people. You got to be organized. You got to be persistent. You got to be driven. You know what I'm saying? You've got to be humble enough to learn and know what you don't know. You've got to be, learn like you're going to live forever. Right? Those are all things that are important for salespeople. You know what I'm saying? Is knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it, organizing your life, managing your time. There's all those things. But at the end of the day, you just have to take action and have faith that the action you're taking, whether it something good happens or it doesn't work out for you, that you're learning, that you can go ahead and move forward from there. So that's
Yeah,
the number one
absolutely.
thing. That's the number one thing for me is, and it's funny in the multi-level marketing industry, they call it ignorance on fire. So I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it as fast as I can do it, as often I can do it. Right. I
Yeah.
play college football. My line coach, Coach 80, he say, you know what? I don't care if you make a mistake, just make it going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So for me, listen, first thing is because look, there's people who plan goals, have good goal boards, put a schedule together, they organize all this stuff, and then they're stuck in neutral, right? You know what? Make a decision, start moving forward. Once you make the decision, the how will take care of itself. Then you got to learn what to say, when to say it, how to say it. You got to learn how to manage your time properly. You've got to work on your personal development all the time. You've got to continually grow that and work so that you can handle any challenge that comes where you are. You've got to be resilient. You've got to have empathy. You've got to be naturally curious and all those other things. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, take action and just believe and have faith that you're taking action is going to get you to where you need to be.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know if that
And
was a
I
little.
really
Oh,
appreciate the fact that you touched on that we all, learn, but we also have to unlearn and then
mhm,
relearn.
mhm,
And also that just because you everyone has the power to choose, and that includes choosing and making a new decision. So if
mhm,
something isn't working out, you can decide, okay,
mhm,
this is what I gained from this. This is what I've learned. And now
mhm,
I'm going to make a new decision and I'm going to go
mhm.
down a new path and take a different road.
Agreed.
So
Mhm.
that
And
is
indecision.
wonderful.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry. Indecision, but indecision is a decision.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's deciding not to take action,
Yeah.
and then as a result of that, it'll happen. It was interesting. I used to make my
People get
kids watch.
stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I used to watch my kids watch Scared Straight. You know what I'm saying, when they were younger, because I wanted them to see what the effect of bad decisions were. I didn't know that necessarily that would be my own version of Scared Straight for them. But anyway, I remember the one time of all the things that I remember. Here's the one thing I remember: the sheriff talks to the kids. He says, "Repeat after me." He says, "Once you make a decision, okay, the consequences are out of your control. So you make a decision, you have to take what comes by either doing it or not doing it." But that doesn't include the bad things. That also includes the good things. I'm talking about the
Yeah.
bad things, but learning experiences. So just what, go ahead and do it and get out there and make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
Wally, thank you so much for
Mhm.
sharing, all this information about how to
Thank
spot
you.
and overcome sales call reluctance.
Mhm.
I know that our listeners are going to want to know more about where they can
Mhm.
find out more about you.
Sure. Thank you. So you can go to phonesalesecrets.com, and there's a free 5-step course there. It's 5 short videos about how to go through those steps that I just talked about in a little more detail. And then you can also join my Facebook group. My Facebook group has all kinds of great resources. I have um, my own podcast as well, which I would love to have you come and join me sometime.
Oh,
And that'd be awesome to have you, because I'd love to hear your story and what you do. And then I have so lots of guests like yourself. I have lots of inspirational messages. I do a quick little 3-minute video every day called 3 at 3, with a little quick hit, strategy on personal development or sales and things like that, articles and all kinds of other stuff. And we just talk about the things you need to do to go ahead and get yourself to the next level in life and business by, managing what goes on between these two things here.
yeah,
Mhm, mhm.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. And I
Mhm.
would be thrilled, Wally, and
Thank you.
honored to be
Thank you
on
so
your
much.
show. It would be a true
I would love it.
privilege.
I would love it. Thanks.
So, all right. So, everyone who listened, thank you so much. I mean, this has been a really important and informative discussion.
Thank you.
And for those of you who have ideas you'd like to share, you can leave us a comment below.
Mhm.
We love hearing your thoughts. Also, if you have a question or would like to suggest a topic for discussion, you can email us at jointheconversation@petitequeen.com. And of course, to stay current on all of our insightful advice, our breakthrough advantages, and these incredible podcast episodes like the one today with Wally, you can sign up for our weekly Wisdoms newsletter at petitequeen.com. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. And Wally, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome. Thank
everything
you.
you shared today.
Mhm. Thank you so much. Good luck, everybody. Go on the phone.
Yeah.